Hey folks, Ross with HikeWadePaddle. I am just sitting here prepping up some feed corn and some bird seed for my next carp outing. Going to be pre-baiting my spots with this stuff after it's soaked for 24 hours and then boiled for 30 minutes to an hour or so. But that's not what I want to tell you about right now. What I want to tell you about is my most recent session. Nestled in the Midlands of South Carolina lies Lake Wateree. With 181 miles of shoreline and nearly 1,400 acres of surface area, endless fishing opportunity awaits. Having booked a campsite, I would call this place home for 2 nights. Well folks, I've arrived at the campground now. I have set up on my spot. Got a lot of boat traffic in the area right now, so I'm not in too much of a hurry to get out and bait up my spot. But here's where I'm going to be sleeping tonight. Not a bad place to spend a couple nights. Hopefully the fish agree. So I'm getting ready to bring the kayak down here and get some bait out over the spot. I've already cast one line out and felt the lead down. It's a firm bottom. It's actually a lot deeper than I thought it would be, which I like. I was worried it was going to be very, very shallow. But I'm going to put some sweet feed as well as a mix of boilies, tiger nuts, and feed corn, as well as just some feed corn and bird seed. Got all of those prepped. I'm going to get them on the spot, and hopefully that'll bring some fish in and keep them on this spot. I spent that first evening fishing a basic pack bait mix over my baited area. Using a mix of breadcrumbs, crushed pineapple, crushed boilies, and oatmeal. I drew in many, many bites, unfortunately not from the desired species. Up building a fire and getting the main camp set up. Wish I'd remembered my fillet knife, he'd be dinner. Unfortunately, that first night was dominated by catfish, and I knew if I were to find my carp and buffalo, a change in tactics was needed. Morning. I blanked. No carp, no buffalo, just 3 blue catfish that made an absolute mess of things last night. At midnight I had a screaming run. By the time I got the boots on and got out of the hammock, oh sorry, yeah, the fish had all 3 lines and my marker buoy. Had to hand line the fish in, cut all my lines, and I never bothered to retie, so a little frustrated. Hoping to avoid the catfish that plagued me so much the night before, on day 2, I switched over to lead clip setups and fished single hook baits over my baited area. I again introduced several pounds of sweet feed, corn, and boilies to the area, but made a more concentrated effort on spreading boilies over each of my rods. This paid off with a bite right away, but needless to say, I was more than a little disappointed to lose what felt like a very good fish. And while I'll never know for sure, that felt like it was probably the first buff of the trip. Damn. My frustration, however, did not last long. Fish on. This is holding deep. Like a buffalo. Or it's just down in something. Or both. This is a buff. I think it's a good one. Oh man, he's in that other line now. There it is. Yeah, that's a, oh, it's a nice common. Oh my God, this is how not to net a fish. I'm gonna be so freaking sad if I lose this now. Finally, and that is a giant. That is a freaking pulse. Oh. Well, when I booked this site, I had one thing in mind and one thing only. And after baits being in the water for 24 hours, this session just came good. Right at 30 pounds on the scale. Look at the belly on that thing. Probably been down there on the bait I've been putting out. It finally paid off. I'm a happy man. Well, I had just packed up the camera equipment to stop and cook dinner and give it a quick charge. And of course, the second I packed it up, one of my 20 mil boilies takes off. And I have in the sling here my first buffalo of the trip. Not a giant by any means. And I know it's getting dark. This is certainly not the best video, but a beautiful fish. I'm gonna let him go and I'm gonna have my dinner. Well, with a new personal best carp and a nice buffalo to my name, my session was well and truly off the mark. But perhaps the funnest part of the trip was still to come. Hey, get out of my stuff. Get out of my stuff. Here. You can't eat my carp bait. There, have a shad. Well, that little guy has clearly grown up in that campground, and needless to say, he was not the least bit worried about me. He really stuck with me all night, and he actually ended up taking a keen interest in my bobbins on my bite alarms, so he became kind of a nuisance. Eventually, him setting off my alarms just got to be too much, so I reeled up my lines and I just got a good night's sleep. But I heard him under the hammock in my bag of sweet feed all night. And yeah, he got many a good meal out of me, but he was such a cute little guy. Well, a very chilly good morning for day 3. No action last night. Ended up reeling up rods about midnight. The wind was absolutely howling and I was bloody freezing. So didn't do any fishing last night. But my new best friend kept me busy playing on the kayak and trying to get into all of my stuff. And at one point, I heard him rummaging about my bag of sweet feed, just feet from the kayak. Couldn't get him to cuddle up in the tent with me, or in the hammock with me though. So that's this morning. Have all 3 rods back out now. I've got 2 boilies out. And then my far right rod here, not far right like US election results, far right like the actual right hand side, has a PVA stick mix on it with some tiger nuts as the hook bait. So I'm gonna give it an hour or 2 this morning and then I'm gonna pack up and get out of here. Oh, fish on. Just trying to get some coffee made. I haven't had lines out for 2 minutes. Well, they left me alone yesterday, but guess who's back? Back again. Catfish are back. Tell a friend. That rod absolutely screamed off, as I'm sure you heard. I was some 50 yards up the hill. I'm out of shape. We're in. And it feels big. Feels very big. We might have something serious here. I told my wife I would pack up and head home soon, but sorry, dear. This is a good fish. It's another nice common. Get in! Well, after struggling mightily for the first 24 hours of this trip, the last 24 have been pretty dang special. Starting with that 30-pound common yesterday, followed by that nice buffalo, and this morning my 20 mil boilie just took off with another just stunning healthy common carp. Not as big as yesterday, but putting in all that bait, staying confident and sticking it out has paid off in a big way. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We'll have more for you soon. Give these carp the respect they deserve. #1 sport fish in the world for a reason. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon.